The Annapurna Upanishad, presented by Svayam Prakash Sharma, part 6. The sixth part consists of verses 41 to 79 of chapter 5, where the sage Ribhu continues with his discourse on liberation. The Upanishad. The sage Ribhu says, the empirical life of beings starts due to the activity of the vital breaths, and it subsides with the inactivity of the vital breaths. Therefore, through drill and through application, reduce the activity of the vital breath to inactivity. All activities start due to the active phases of ignorance, and they cease due to the passive phases of ignorance. Therefore, dissolve this ignorance by winning a good teacher and by the instructions of the Shastras or the scriptures. By a mere vibration of the non-objective knowledge or by the suppression of vital breaths, the mind is reduced to that supreme status of mindlessness. Through the perception of Brahm, that is infallibly directed to bliss, behold that real bliss that is occasioned by seeing the vision of the knowable as Brahm. That indeed is the non-turbulent bliss which the mind does not reach. This bliss is free from decline and growth. It neither rises nor does it set. It stays as it is. The mind of the knower is not called mind, for mind indeed is the truth of spirit. Mind is the truth of Atma. Therefore, in the fourth state, the mind transcends that state. The mind goes beyond that state. Having renounced all mental constructions, being equable and with a peaceful, inactive mind, be a sage who is wedded to the yoga of renunciation, possessing both knowledge and wisdom. Know that the Supreme Brahm is that which conforms to no act of mental activity. It is what remains when mental activities completely die down and all masses of latent impulses have been completely liquidated. By securing right knowledge and by continuous concentration, those who become enlightened in the wisdom of the Upanishads, etc., in the wisdom of the Sankhyas, and in the wisdom of the others, they are the true yogis. Those are the yogis who are versed in yoga, who, after the quieting of the breaths through ascetic practices, achieve the status above sufferings, the status where there is no suffering, a status which has no beginning, a status which has no end. What is required to be won by all is the uncaused and still status, which is won by the contemplation of the one changeless real, by the control of breaths, and by the dwindling of the mind. When one of these is perfected, it helps to perfect the other two as well. The vital breaths and the mind of living beings are all concomitant. They all go together. Like the container and the content, they perish when only one is present. Through self-destruction, they produce the best of products, namely, they produce liberation. If, by remaining steady, you reject all this by understanding them on the sensation of the eye sense, on cessation of the eye sense, on the cessation of ego, then you yourself are the supreme status. There is but one great spirit, which is called the being. It is flawless. It is even. It is pure. It is free from the eye sense. It is free from the sense of ego. It shines forth but once. It is the pure. It is the ever risen. It is the same all the time. It is described by many names, such as Brahm, such as the Supreme Self or the Param Atma, etc. O Nigad, knowing for creation that I am that Brahm, and having done what has to be accomplished, I never think of the past or of the future. I cling wholly to the vision that is present here and now. This I have won today. I shall achieve the beautiful thing, which is liberation. I do not laud or praise, neither do I condemn. Nothing other than the self or the Atma is everywhere. Other than the Atma or the self, there is nothing else anywhere. The gaining of the good does not gladden me. If I gain something good, it does not make me glad. Similarly, if some evil visits me, or if evil comes my way, it does not make me sad. O sage, the waverings of my mind have been totally stilled. My mind is rid of all sorrows. It is cured of all wantings. It does not want or desire anything. It is tranquil. Therefore, I am hale and untrammeled. I am hale and unhindered. This is a friend. This is a foe. This is a stranger. This sort of knowledge does not occur to me. O Brahman, no affection touches me. Rid of all latent impressions, the mind is liberated from old age and death. Mind with latent impressions inherent in it is knowledge. What is to be known is the mind that is rid of all latent impressions. When the mind is rejected, the duality on all sides is dissolved. What remains is the tranquil Supreme One, pure and untrammeled, pure and unhindered. The endless, the unborn, the unmanifest, the unaging, the tranquil, the unlapsing, the non-dual, the beginningless and the endless, which nevertheless is the first apprehension, which is the first learning. One, devoid of beginning and end, Holy Spirit, pure, pervasive, far subtler than the sky, you are, without doubt, that very Brahma. Undetermined by space, time, etc., superlatively pure, ever arisen, omnipresent, this one end is all in all. Be you that pure spirit. All is this tranquil one that is devoid of beginning, middle, and end. All is unborn, both being and non being. Thinking like this, be happy. I am not bound, nor am I liberated. I am indeed the unhindered Brahm. I am free from duality. I am being, intelligence, bliss. I am Sat, Chit, Anand. Keep the entire multitude of objects far away. and be always devoted to the self. Be always devoted to the Atma, with your mind all cooked, with your mind fully developed. This is fine. This is not. Such type of thinking is the seed of all your sorrows. When such feeling, which is the seed, is burnt in the fire of impartiality, where is the occasion for sorrow? Then there is no occasion for sorrow, since there will never be sorrow. First of all, augment your wisdom by means of familiarity with the Shastras, familiarity with the scriptures, and by seeking the company of the holy. The true, the real, and the ultimate Brahm, that is superlatively pure, that is eternal, that is without beginning and without end. That Brahm is the cure for all forms of transmigratory life. So also, it is neither coarse nor is it spaced. It is neither tangible nor is it visible. It is tasteless and scentless. It is unknowable and peerless. That is, it has no peer. O well disciplined sage, for achieving liberation, one should meditate on the bodiless self, that is Brahm, that is being, consciousness, and bliss, Sat Chit Anand, that is without end, as I am that Brahm. Concentration is the origination of knowledge in regard to the unity of the Supreme and the Jeev, the individual. The self, in fact, is eternal, it is omnipresent, it is immutable and flawless. It is but one. Through Maya, it splits up, but not in its essence. Therefore, there is only the non dual alone. There is no manifold. There is no empirical life. Just as space, which is one and the same, when in the pot is called pot space, and when the space is outside, it is called great space. So too, due to delusion, the self or the Atma is called Jeev and Ishwar in two ways. When the all pervading spirit shines always without a break in the mind of the yogi, then one becomes one's own self. Then one becomes one's own Atma. In fact, one who beholds all beings in one's own self, in one's own Atma, and one's own self, one's own Atma in all beings, then one becomes Brahm. Yes, then one becomes Brahm. This concludes part 6 of the Annapurna Upanishad. Om Shanti, 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 Om.